On today's show, the boys are back. We're getting into the Dallas Mavericks. The next 5 games will define the Mavericks season.
In the words of Cam Newton, I'm back! I'm back!
We'll talk about why those are so important games coming up, why they're big, and what we want to see happen during those, besides wins. We'll talk about that too. We'll talk about that on today's Locked On Mavs.
Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor at Mavs.com. The We Back boy, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Oh, it's so good to be back. I'm excited. I missed a fun game, over the weekend.
You weren't gone that long.
I know. It was just 2 days, and then, it just feels like forever. But no, yeah, I actually tweeted about it. My wife and I, we bought our first house here in Dallas, and it's just been, oh man, it's been a journey for us, and man, we're so excited. We're happy. We moved. Sorry to go down this corner real quick.
Here we go. We're in it. We're
in it. But we moved from my wife's from Brazil. I'm from Kentucky. We met in Kentucky. Moved from Kentucky to Dallas, Texas, right at 8 years ago. And we're like, man, is this gonna be like a temporary type thing? I was going to do my my graduate degree and get my master's, and then, bam, 8 years later, we buy our first home here in Dallas because Dallas is home now, and we're so excited just to call Dallas home and raise our kids here. My dad joked not too long ago, we were talking about Luka and Luka's future, and my dad goes, he was like, man, what if Luka ever left and went somewhere else one day, play for another team? Like, hey, don't speak that evil on me right now. and my dad legit goes, so would you move back to Kentucky then? I'm like, what is Luka holding me in Dallas right now? But no, obviously covering the Mavs in person. I work for a church and stuff too, but we're excited to call Dallas home, and it's going to be home for a while, unless the Lord calls us elsewhere.
Isaac in the new house today. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. And remember, Locked On Mavs is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Go check out Locked On Mavs, where you can see Isaac's new house with the jersey behind you.
Josh Howard, baby.
Let's go.
I still got to do some tinkering. I got, Luka's shoes over my shoulder. I have some retro Jason Kidd starting lineups at the top. Mavericks, Jason Kidd starting lineups. Has some fun stuff.
All right, we're going to get into our top 5, or the Mavericks' next 5 games, because they're incredibly important. We've been pointing these games out since probably the beginning of the season, and now that their Mavericks are looking down the barrel at these 5 games, I think they're even more important, and we think that they could define the Mavericks season. So let's just get into a couple of reasons why these next 5 games are so incredibly important for the Dallas Mavericks. First of all, the games coming up for the Mavericks are tonight. If you're watching this on Monday, they play the Denver Nuggets home in the American Airlines Center. So that game coming up, the Mavericks have already faced the Nuggets. We'll talk about that game in a second. It did not go well. Then they go on the road for 2 games against the Suns, and then 2 games against the Clippers on the road as well. So those are the next 5 games. Home for the Nuggets, at Phoenix, at the Clippers, at the Clippers. Those are going to be incredibly massive games for the Dallas Mavericks.
Huge. And it's their chance to get a signature win. What, off the top of your head, what's the best win this season?
Is it? The best feeling one was that Spurs win, but that's the Spurs, right?
Spurs suck. And is it the Boston one without Jaylen Brown?
The Boston one,
but they didn't have Jaylen Brown. Right. That's probably the best, toughest opponent that they've beat this season. If they can get a win, especially over, a Phoenix team, the Denver team, tonight, the Clippers team, they've won 7 in a row. They just lost, their first game in 7 games there. But they're 8-4. They're in 6 or something in the West.
Yeah,
so,
I'll go over those in a second.
Yeah, but if they could win 1 of the next 5, it should be their best win of the season.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. All these teams are Western Conference teams with winning records. They're 3 of the top 5 teams in the West right now, outside of the Warriors and the Warriors and the Jazz. They're 3 of the top 8 teams in the NBA right now. If you're just looking at record, if a lot of people have said, well, the Mavericks have one of the best records in the NBA. Okay, well, they're playing 3 of the teams with similar records to the Mavericks right now. They're playing those teams coming up. They're also all great defenses. According to Cleaning the Glass, these teams are 2nd, Denver, 4th, Clippers, and 5th, Phoenix in defense, according to Cleaning the Glass defensive rating, which is points allowed per 100 possessions. So Denver's 2nd, Clippers 4th, and Suns 5th. Those are really, really good defense. All top 5 defenses in the entire NBA right now. This is an incredible test for the Mavericks. Last 2 things here, which is the reason why they're so important. No back-to-backs in this. The Mavericks are coming off of 2 days rest right now. They got to go see the Legends play. Maybe we'll talk about that at the end of this episode. No back-to-backs during this whole stretch right here. 4 games on the road in a row, but no back-to-backs. Also, health. The Mavericks are healthy, besides Maxi Kleber, who has been out now 2 weeks, and we'll probably hear a diagnosis or probably hear some kind of update, Monday as you guys are listening to this on Maxi. But I don't expect him to play. I actually don't expect him to play in any of these games. Maybe towards the end of the Clippers, but I have no clue what's going on with him. He's been out with an oblique strain for,
has it been exactly 2 weeks?
Yeah, it has been 2 weeks. The last game he played, I think, was end of October.
Because I remember Jason Kidd saying, that we were talking about how Kidd, was being a little bit different than Rick in the sense of he put a timeline on it. Jason Kidd said 7 to 10 days at the time, and so we're past the 10-day mark. I haven't seen an update unless I didn't do the media session at practice today. So unless he says something today, we haven't seen anything.
Yeah, so those are all super important things. Let's go through these 3 teams and just their general profile right now. So the Nuggets, the game coming up tonight, the Nuggets are at 9-4, great record. They're a +6 in the net rating category. That's 7th in the entire NBA. Again, they have the 14th ranked offense, 2nd ranked defense, according to offense defensive rating. The Mavericks got destroyed by them 2 weeks ago. Absolutely destroyed. It was a terrible game. The Mavericks lost 75-106. The Mavericks had a 75 offensive rating, just absolutely bad. Now, KP didn't play in that game, and it was a really, really bad Luka game. But
very bad.
This is a real big test for the Mavericks to, first of all, respond to that game and then start this next 5-game streak off. Start it off well and hopefully with a win.
Yeah, it feels like Denver's rolling a little bit right now, and like you said, that was one of the worst. That was one of the worst engaged Luka games that I've ever seen out of him, and so hopefully, they're back in Dallas. That was also in Denver, altitude stuff we always talk about. Second night of a back-to-back when they played Denver last time. So and like you said, without KP, take away all that now. They've had 2 days off of rest at home in Dallas. KP is there, so hopefully it's a good revenge game for them.
Yeah. So now there's no excuses, right? You got you got everything going your way right now. Phoenix Suns 9-3 record right now. They have a +7 net rating. They're really, really good. That's 3rd in the NBA. They're the 8th ranked defense, the 8th ranked offense, the 5th ranked defense. So top 10 in both, which is incredible. Both of these games are also on ESPN. So if you're going narratives route, not just on the court, but narratives as well, if the Mavericks get destroyed in both those games, that is not going to look well for the Mavericks. And you'll hear a lot of national talk about how, the Mavericks are pretenders and all that kind of stuff. But these 2 Suns games are really, really big.
Yeah, I was trying to see exactly what Phoenix is. So DeAndre Ayton was out. Obviously Sarge is out for a long time, but Ayton has been out with that right lower leg contusion. So I wonder if he will be available to play. I haven't seen a timeline on that. We should ask.
Yeah, they don't play till Wednesday, so in a couple days, I'm sure we'll know more.
Yeah, go listen to Locked On Suns for some preview. Brendan Clean does a great job with that, but. Yeah, Phoenix was in the finals last year, so.
The last team, the Clippers, played 2 games against the Clippers. The Clippers are 8-5 after losing to Chicago last night. They're just about +7, +6.7 net rating. That's 4th in the NBA. This was before the Bulls game. 12th ranked offense, 4th ranked defense. And so the Mavericks played 2 games against them. One of those games, however, though, is a brunch game. What the Clippers what our Clippers bros on Locked On Clippers call a brunch game. It's 2:30 p.m. Central Time Sunday. So that's like a noon game on Sunday in LA, which is they usually play terribly. The Clippers play terribly on those games. So we'll see if that holds up when the Mavericks play them.
We'll see if the Mavericks hold up. We'll see.
That's the other thing.
We'll get a sense of what the Mavs did in LA on Saturday night.
I may just be misremembering this. That Mavericks 50-point win was a brunch game, right?
I don't know. I thought you were gonna say something about KP.
Nope. All right, coming up, let's get into what we want to see during this next 5 games. So we've talked about why these games are so important. Let's get into what we want to see from the Mavericks, from Porzingis, from Luka, from all those guys coming up. I'll tell you about that. But before we do, let me tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best NBA daily fantasy prop game on the market. It offers more NBA daily fantasy props than anyone else. There's so many things that you can get and so many things that you can bet on Prize Picks. If you go right now, NBA, let's see, there's a couple of games. We got Monday night, the Atlanta Hawks versus the Orlando Magic. You can do 25.5 points for Trae Young. You can pick all kinds of stuff like that. The Knicks are playing the Indiana Pacers, so you can pick Kemba Walker, 13.5 points over under. Julius Randle, 22.5 points over under. So you can go and pick these right now on Prize Picks. You can go ahead and combine a couple of those. Let me go Kemba Walker. I'm going to go, Kemba Walker, I'll do the under. And then I'll do Julius Randle. I'll pick over for the Dallas native. Right now, if I put down, let's say I wanted to put $100 on that, I could win $200 right now if I wanted to do that on Prize Picks right now. So you can check that out and do the exact same thing. You can do all kinds of stuff. They don't have Maverick stuff up right now, but I'm sure that they'll have Maverick stuff in the future. And right now, if you use the promo code NBA, you can deposit $100 and they will match it up to $100. So you can deposit anything. They'll match it up to $100 if you use the promo code NBA. Again, go to prizepicks.com, promo code NBA. Also want to tell you about directtv.com. It's the way I am watching Dallas Mavericks games right now. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game, another one that lets you stream your favorite shows, and another one that you're watching sports highlights on. You're trying to watch all these different things. Get it all together with DirecTV Stream. It allows you to record shows and do it live. This is how I'm watching the Mavericks right now. directtv.com, DirecTV Stream. You can maybe get the end of that Mark Cuban deal where you're getting some money off. You can see if they're still giving those away. You can go check that out and chat with somebody. I chatted with somebody. I got that deal. You can go check it out. DirectTV.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. All right, Isaac Harris. Let's get into these games. So we've been talking about these 5 games coming up for the Dallas Mavericks. Home for the Nuggets. 2 games on the road versus the Suns. 2 games on the road versus the Clippers. What do we want to see during these games? Let's start with Luka. You just talked about how the last time the Mavericks played the Nuggets, it was one of the worst games we've seen from Luka this season and one of the worst engaged games we've seen from Luka, in his time here in Dallas. What do we want to see from Luka in these next 5 games?
I want to see the chemistry with him and KP keep growing. I mean, I think that was one of the most telling things over the weekend. I say over the weekend, I guess it was Friday night. That Spurs game. I mean, was that the most in sync we've seen those two? And I mean, definitely this season.
Definitely this season.
I don't know when the last time we've seen them look like that. And so I'm lumping this answer into what do we want to see? I think this is the biggest thing with this team. We have to see the 2 stars gel more. And they were gelling on Friday. Can they do it again over this? Can they do it again against really good talent? Over this Denver game, the Phoenix game, the Clippers games? If they can do that, then you're like, all right, then we can get back on track.
And against really good defenses, too. We mentioned they're all top 5 defenses right now, according to defensive rating. And so you're like, all right, can they do it against really, really good defense, really, really good talent? I totally agree with you. The chemistry with Porzingis, that's a huge thing. The way that they use KP, the way that he involves KP, the way that they set each other up, I think is massive for the success of this team just overall, right? If KP's not going to get traded, he wanted to trade at the end of last season, reportedly. If he's not going to get traded, he's on this team. All right, the best way for KP to, the best way for the Mavericks to move forward is if Luka and KP are on the same page, doing what they did against the Spurs the other night. Other thing I want to see from Luka is the shooting continue to improve. He started this season really bad from 3 and shooting really bad. The first 8 games of the season, he shot 25% from 3. Last 4 games, he's gotten a little hot and he's shooting 41% from 3. So if that can keep up, if he can hit some more threes, if he can continue to stay hot, then that obviously gives the Mavericks a chance. That opens up so much for his game. It opens up driving lanes for him because guys have to defend him harder, they have to close out on him harder, all that. And obviously he scores. He scores more points if he hits threes, right? And the threes have been the biggest thing that has been holding the Mavericks offense back, I think.
Yeah, and I want to see Luka push the pace. I'm not saying this is just on Luka. This could be just a coaching staff thing, but I want to see him play faster. I want to see him get out in transition. You look at their numbers this season right now. According to Synergy, They're scoring at 0.97 points per possession in transition. That's 28th in the league, according to Synergy. It's a poor rating. That they can get better than that. I mean, we've seen what Luka looks like playing fast with that, with the national team over the summer. It was a lot of fun. And I get that Luka's still playing himself into shape and all that stuff, but I want to see this team get up and play a little bit faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Mavericks are right now 29th in the league in transition frequency. 13% of their offense is coming in transition. Now,
is Dirk still playing with this team?
I was going to say the Mavericks have been last in transition. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 6 seasons. They've been last in transition frequency. So Dirk and Luka do not equal fast break or fast plays or anything like that. Actually, they were 30th in 2014 too. So let's make that 5 out of the last 7 seasons. They were dead last. And some of the other ones, they were 29th, 28th. One year they were 14th in there. But yeah, the Mavericks have not run out in transition at all. That's just not what we've seen this team do. But if you can get a couple easy ones, if you can chuck the ball down to to Dorian or KP if he's cherry picking or something like that, you can get some stuff going, and that would be massive just to get some easy buckets.
Yeah, there's something else I want to see too. When I was talking with our buddy Charks the other day, and he actually went on Bill Simmons' pod. I guess it was Friday, and he went on Bill's pod, and he was talking about. They went on a mini Mavs tangent just a little bit, and Charks was saying on there, he was like, "Yeah, I want to see if this is the stretch that makes Jason Kidd actually change things, because however you want to feel about Rick Carlisle at least would change, change up some things, adjust on the fly in the games, like switch up some lineups here and there. The Dallas Mavericks social team, they would get their work cut out for them because they'd have to put your starting 5 in your graphics. Like, all right, who's Rick going to start right now?
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
You pretty much everything that Jason Kidd's doing right now. So what John was saying on Bill's pod was like, is this the stretch that makes Jason Kidd really reshuffle the deck, starters, like all this stuff? And that's one of the biggest things of this stretch that I want to see is I want to see Jason Kidd adjust on the fly and switch out some things if it's not working, especially against some of these good teams. Like for instance, they play the first game against Phoenix and they just get obliterated and they lose by like 23. I want to see that next game, the starting lineup shifted or a rotation shifted. I want to see something else different instead of, hey, feet and down. Like we got to just keep on rolling forward.
We just missed shots. It wasn't, the blah, blah, blah. We didn't execute. It's like, okay, no, something's got to change.
Exactly. That's something I want to see over this 5-game stretch.
Yeah. The starting lineup has to be something that we want to see. All right, there's two angles of this, right? Either you're Mavs fan, and you're like, I just want to see the Mavericks succeed. All right, I want to see that starting 5 succeed. I want to see Jason Kidd succeed. I want to see him be proven right. Okay, so then you want that starting 5 to do well. If you're a Mavsicist, which is a word I've coined over the last couple of years, where you enjoy seeing the Mavs fail so that your personal opinions can be proven right, which I can be at times, 100%.
Oh,
I can be a Mavsicist at times.
I don't know any of these people.
Then you want the starting lineup to fail so badly that Jason Kidd moves off of it, right? Like this would be the stretch that starting 5 fails so incredibly that all of a sudden Jason Kidd it pushes his hand to do something and to actually make something happen. That could happen during this stretch, and it will during this stretch if it's going to.
And it will.
During this stretch. Like if it doesn't do it during this stretch, then it's not going to. It's not going to change. It's not going to change what Jason Kidd thinks. If they fail during this stretch and Jason Kidd doesn't change anything, then his mind won't be changed.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's I just want to see, if they roll in, they beat Denver with this lineup, and all right, cool. We're then you roll with it again against Phoenix, and maybe it's a really close loss, or maybe you win one by 6 or something. It's all right, that at least makes sense to roll out this lineup. But if they roll out the same starting lineup for 5 straight games, and they lose 4 out of the 5, or all 5 of them, I don't know how to properly do a pod after that. Because I just don't know what I would be very, very frustrated if we have to try some things at this point.
Last thing here, what do you want to see from Kristaps Porzingis? We've seen some bad games from him, and then we saw on Friday night he had the best game so far as Maverick, and it's the way that the Mavericks have used him. They used him as a finisher. They used him in the pick and roll. They used him as the lone big. Finally, used him as the lone big a lot during that Spurs game, and then they tried to end the game with it. They were like, all right, we're just going to put him out there as a lone big, use him in the pick and roll, and that's the best way to use KP right now. And they really got him going. What do you want to see from KP?
The things I want to see from KP is probably two things that I don't think he can control. And that's I want him to stay healthy, and I want him to play as the lone big. Like that's the two things I want from KP over these next 5 games. As many minutes, I get it. I know the whole argument of like why he's not playing the full-time 5. They don't want, standing up health-wise and guarding other, 5 on the floor and the wear and tear on the defensive end. Like I get all of that.
It's real.
But it is very real. But I want to see him as the lone big, especially in the fourth. I want to see him obviously healthy at the end of these 5 games. But yeah, I mean, those are the 2 biggest things I want from KP.
And we have seen Jason Kidd change some things. We've seen him use KP as the lone big at times when he wasn't doing that at all to start the season. In the first couple of games KP played, we didn't see KP as the lone big hardly at all. He really stuck to that. And recently he's gone to KP as the lone big because you've seen us all mention it so many times, right? That it's actually happening. So he has changed some stuff. It's just that starting lineup hasn't changed, which hurts the Mavericks a lot because they get blown out in some of these beginning games. Even that Spurs game, they weren't playing well out of the gate. Like some of these games that the Mavericks win, they don't come out of the gate playing that well, and they get beat to start the game. So we'll see. That's something we want to see is either the Mavericks starting lineup finally do well and show that they can, gain a lead to begin a game, or change it. That's another thing we want to see. All right, coming up, let's get into best and worst case scenario over this next 5 games. What would happen if like the Mavericks won all these games handily, or if they lost all these games and got destroyed in all these games? We'll talk about both sides of that. We'll even you guys out if you're like really nervous, or if you're really, really feeling good about these. We'll even you out. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. Get some ASMR action in there. I got a coconut brownie chunk bar. Built Bar is going to love this. I immediately went out and ordered this bar because it's my favorite. They're absolutely great. Did you get your box yet?
What? You've got your box? Maybe they sent it to the wrong address.
I got 2 boxes, and I got them quick, too. The shipping has really gotten faster recently, so you can go check out Built.com. If you want that coconut brownie chunk bar, it's still available, to my surprise. 150 calories, 15 grams of protein, 7 grams of sugar, and I had one today. They're absolutely delicious. They haven't changed the recipe, which is great. They continue to just put out the exact same great bar. Go check it out, Built.com. It's great for a snack. It tided me over. We had breakfast at this place, and then my wife had to go do something at a school, and I was like, all right, well, I got to go sit and wait for her. And then I was going to come back, and we were going to have some dinner at home. And I was like, all right, I just need something. I need something to tide me over. Boom, Built Bar, ate one. It was great. Kept me until dinner. It was awesome. And it didn't cost me too much in terms of macros. Again, 150 calories, 15 grams of protein, 7 grams of sugar. Check it out. Use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off like I did. 15% off. Use the promo code LOCKED15.
Guys, go buy that bar right now. If it's still available, you got to go buy it. And I don't really care about ads sometimes, but I care about this one.
Stop.
Go buy this bar. It's really, really good.
Promo code LOCKED15. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into the rest of these games. So we've been talking about these next 5 games. We're going to define the Mavericks season. Home for the Nuggets, 2 games against the Suns, 2 games at the Clippers. Best case and worst case scenario. Let's start with the worst case. We'll give you the bad news.
I just laid it out.
Worst case scenario, the Mavericks lose all 5 of these games. And the Mavericks have only played like 4 good teams this season. We've talked about it. What's the Mavericks' best win? It's hard to find one where you're like, all right, this is the best win against a good team. The first game against the Hawks. The Hawks have not proven to be a good team so far, but they went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They get destroyed by the Hawks. Then at Denver, we talked about that game. Mavericks only scored 75 points. Then home for Miami, they get beat pretty handily in that game as well. And then against Chicago, they get beat by 10, and it should have been more than that probably without a late run by the Mavericks. So all 4 of those games were really bad. Let's say that all 5 of these games turn out like all 4 of those games, and history repeats itself. What changes? What are we thinking? What are we saying? After those 5 games.
Man, I mean, yeah. Worst case scenario, they're 8-9 after these 5 games. There was there were no adjustments. The same starting 5 is being thrown out, and KP, has a lower back tightness like that. I mean, that's That's the worst case scenario. And I mean, I think a lot of the conversation will be around kid, and it's like, hey, adjustments and stuff. A lot of the conversation be around the roster, and the roster, succeed. And then, Luka. I'm not worried about Luka. Like Luka
No.
will play himself into shape. He's gonna have great games. Like it's okay to say he's not in great shape right now. It's okay, guys. I promise you, it's okay to say that. But like he's still amazing. I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about like JB. I'm not even worried about like Tim. Like the biggest thing for them, I want to see Maxi come back. I mean, that's one of the biggest things.
Huge.
But like KP, can he stay consistent? Can he stay playing well? Can he stay healthy? And yeah, I mean, the conversation all season will be around kids adjustments / lineups and Kristaps Porzingis. That's the main two things.
It's been the two things. Like all offseason, I went on so many podcasts with Locked On NBA and Locked On Fantasy, and like all these podcasts, people ask me, radio shows too. I went on a bunch of them this offseason. What's the biggest question for the Mavericks this season? What kind of a coach is Jason Kidd now? And can Kristaps Porzingis be the second star? Can he stay healthy? Right? Those are the big questions. And those are the exact same two big questions we have going into this stretch. Can those things be true? Can Kristaps Porzingis replicate what he did against the Spurs? Can he continue to do that? If he can, then the Mavericks definitely have a shot. And that's all that you need. And you hope KP is as good as he was. Tim will give you a couple games here and there. Brunson can handle the load a little bit more this season. And then what does Jason Kidd do? If the Mavericks if the starting lineup does get destroyed again, like 2 games in a row, Nuggets and against the first game against the Suns, that second Suns game, does he come out with the same starting 5 again? Or does he try and change it up? Does he do something else? Maybe he starts with KP at the 5 and then uses KP and Dwight later in the game to give KP some, he can't play KP at the 5 the whole game. That's not something I don't think we're asking for. We understand why he can't do that, because there's been, the wear and tear physically, but then also one time he put KP at the 5. I think it was the Bulls game, and KP got like 3 quick fouls because, he's defending a lot. He's got to do a lot on defense when he's the lone big. He does it decently well, and he's been doing it pretty well this season in defending, but he can pick up some quick fouls. Teams can attack him and they can go right at him, and it's hard for big man to defend in this league. It just really is. And so then the Mavericks are without him, and then all of a sudden it's all other big question because he's in foul trouble. So Kristaps Porzingis, Jason Kidd, those would be big questions. And yeah, you should start to look at these games. And the way you just said it, this is the first time I thought of it. The Mavericks lose all 5 of these games, they're 8-9. And then all of a sudden the Mavericks still have a good record. All this talk about, the Mavericks are struggling. You guys need to stop that because they have a good record. Then that's all out the window, right? Because then they're a below 500 team. If you look at the standings, then all of a sudden, let's say everything else stays just about the same and the Mavericks fall to a below 500 team. Then all of a sudden you are with Memphis right there in the 8th spot in the West. You're in the play-in at that point. And it'll be decently hard to get out of that play-in because the teams above them are all playing solid basketball right now.
Yeah, because you think about the conversation around Luka right now of playing himself into shape. I mean, going back to that pod, John and Bill talked a little bit about him being out of shape. Bill and Jackie McMullen talked about that the other day. As I've been moving, I've been listening to a lot of NBA podcasts, and they, both 2 different conversations about Luka being out of shape. But here's the thing: if Luka, I'm trying to try to word this the right way. As far as his supporting cast, Luka's averaging 25, 8, and 7 right now. If he had another like consistent star next to him, I don't even think this is really a conversation, because it's expected, because they have to have Luka playing at this like otherworldly level for them to be a very, very great team. So, but when the supporting cast isn't fully there, then all eyes go to Luka, and it's like, all right, Luka, why are you not in shape and all this stuff? It's like Luka should be able to play himself into shape right now, playing at 25, 8, and 7 a game, which is still really good. But like with this current setup, it's hard for him to do that and for them to be at the top of their game. If that was Paul George instead of Kristaps Porzingis right now, where would the Mavericks be? What would the conversation around Luka be like? But no, he would have a little bit more leeway for all of that. So if that makes any sense.
Let's swing it the other way. The Mavericks, all of a sudden, that Spurs game, let's say they figured it out. Luka and KP figured it out. All of a sudden, they're going to be back to the way they were 2 years ago, right before remember in the bubble, KP was second team all bubble, playing really well. Him and Luka were just like rolling on all cylinders. Let's say they figured that out again. Jason Kidd figured some stuff out. Starting lineup, will run out there, and then the second unit will carry the Mavericks, and then this whole formula works. The Mavericks win all 5 of these games. Some of them maybe they win close, some of them they win handily. The Mavericks are all of a sudden 13-4. Now what are we saying about the Mavericks?
Oh man. Well, if they're 13-4, it has a lot to do with Kristaps Porzingis, and we've seen that potential. Like we've seen the potential on Friday night, and like that's the level KP can be at. He's so dang talented. Like he's so talented, and he gets a lot of those threes and those shots. And if he can just get that consistently going, now that it feels like he's back healthy, coming out of the back injury there, and it feels like he's back in the groove, playing healthy, moving really well. So that's the
knocking on wood.
That's the thing. I think if they win all 5 of these games, let's just assume, it didn't take a nuclear Luka stretch,
Even if it does.
Well, if they win all 5, and Luka averages, 40 a game, then the whole like Luka's in the leading MVP race, all this stuff. But if Luka is just
true, that's another thing.
If Luka stays steady, let's just say his average, the 25 to 28, 8-7, has a couple triple doubles, and they win all 5, then that means Porzingis probably is on the stretch. And then all of a sudden that narrative is starting to move that direction of this is the Porzingis we talked about over the offseason. If you get 5 straight wins, or let's just say they win like 4 out of 5, or even like 3 out of 5, and like 2 of those 3 are like big statement wins against the Suns, the Nuggets, or the Suns and Clippers, and it's like, okay, and KP and Luka, they're gelling, then there's you have signature wins. These are the best wins of the season so far against really good teams. This shows you some type of format of how this roster and this duo can work against good teams. That would be a really, really good sign. And for people like us that we've been like, hey, cool, I've been like making the record as a joke. I'm like 8-4, all this stuff. Now we can.
You did it in your moving tweet.
I loved it. But it's like, I wanted that would make you feel a little bit better if they can get a couple of these wins under the belt and see this team. It's like, okay, now they're not like that bad, but there's a path for them to be a good team.
Last thing I'll say, there's so many angles we could take to this, and we have 5 days a week. We'll talk about all these different things. But one of the things that really stuck out to us from Media Day when we sat down with all the players and sat down with Brunson specifically, talking about what happened in that Clippers series. Brunson specifically looked at us and said, we got to be better. I have to be better. Real specific, I have to be better against this Clippers team. He's come out of the gate swinging this year, and he's been really, really good so far to start the season. I think these 2 Clippers games are going to be really big for Jalen Brunson. I think he's got those circled on his calendar. I think he's going to come out, and if they win those 5 games, if they win all 5 games, or let's say they just win both the Clippers games, I think Brunson goes off for like 30, 35 in both those games.
That's a good call. I like that. That's good. Batum's going to guard Luka probably, and those games will be fun. Can I say one more?
Clip that right there. Clip that for when Brunson does go off. If he doesn't, then just don't do anything with that.
And while you're at it, like and subscribe below.
Yeah, right.
One more thing. One more thing.
King.
Something else I want to see over these next 5 games. Can we get more Moses Brown, Josh Green minutes in Frisco?
I liked it. I thought it was good. It was a good time for them.
I thought it was awesome. And can we get our guy Jason Kidd a new hat? This is something I'm really requesting. Jason's been wearing the same Texas Rangers hat. He threw out the first pitch after he got hired, and it's this baby blue, it's powder blue Rangers hat. And I swear he's worn this hat. Like I love my hats.
I was gonna say I've worn this hat all the time. I can't speak to this.
Let's get my guy a new flat bill.
Let's get Jason Kidd a new hat. There you go. So much stuff. We'll be following all these games 5 days a week. We're covering these games. We'll have post-game after every single one of them. We'll be recording a show. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. We'll be back with you tomorrow to break down the Nuggets game. We'll have a post-game for you. Make sure to make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, and expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. He's killing it. like 12 out of the last 14 weeks have been winning weeks for Locked On Bets. That's an incredible mark. Go ahead, check out Locked On Bets. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom!